I have a saying that the Bible best explains everything we see. You don't think so? We're going to take a deep dive into hidden science within the Bible. Yes, science. You're going to want to check this video out. Let's go. Man, Jonathan Owens. We're going to dive into another episode of The Word Spoken, and I'm going to talk about something that, man, I have wanted to talk about for, I think, a while, because I think I also talked about a little bit of it. But shout out to Alan Parr. He just dropped a video that was similar about science and the earth. So this one, I'm going to touch a different angle. So today we're going to talk about those hidden things that are, man, scientific, like marvels. It's like, how did the Bible understand this? How did the Bible get this right? Well, let's take a deep dive into the different parts of the scriptures. We're going to look at it and we're going to discuss it. So let's go. Now, people often pit science against the Bible. That's what they do, because they think that science is one way, the Bible is another way. But I got a different take on it, because all science is doing is trying to understand how God created the world. That is all science is trying to do. Every time you look at science, it's like trying to figure out this, trying to figure out how storms work, trying to figure out how God created the mind. Well, they're not even realizing you're just trying to figure out how God did it, because you marvel at it and you're like, there's no how. The problem is that humans, we often get pig-headed and we think that knowledge of how to do it makes us greater than the one who did it. It is so crazy, which is so kind of like ironic that it goes back into the Genesis, where the enemy promised wisdom and knowledge from tempting Eve to eat a tree. So it's like, man, knowledge is something, but somehow that knowledge of how these things work makes some people and scientists think that they actually are God within themselves. Well, that's a mistake if I ever seen one. So let's look at this. Let's look at this clip, because this is going to culminate everything, or the things I just said. Take a look.
No one in the history of religious literature has ever, based on their readings, made an accurate prediction of a testable phenomenon that was not previously known at the time of that literature. You look at Genesis, which is an account of things. Until science made independent discoveries of the account of things, people would use Genesis as their source of the account of things. In every single case, they got it wrong. Out of Genesis and the Bible in general, Earth is flat, it's land in the middle surrounded by water, the stars are these little things embedded in a surface. This is how everyone universally interpreted the physical universe based on scripture. Science comes along and said, no, that's just false. And over time, the Bible became less and less used as a science textbook by enlightened religious people, and more used as just a source of spiritual fulfillment. And they're not getting their science out of the Bible, because those attempts simply fail.
Man, why is this is so wrong? Because I'm tired of hearing this. Like, I'm tired of hearing this. Genesis does not teach that the earth is flat. And it's like, and then people use this, scientists like Neil and others, they use this, and then they go into other things to try to like promote something that's like, okay, oh, if this is wrong in the Bible, man, look at all the other things. So all the subsequent things also after that become crazy, because you started off with a crazy foundation. That's just crazy. Well, let's put some of these things to bed and let's look at the science. Because many people who know this passage will try to say that this is also aiding their interpretation. The earth is flat, which it does the opposite. It's so weird. In Isaiah 40:22, look at this. It is he who sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them out like a tent to dwell in. And they would be like, oh, you see that? It sits above the circle of the earth. So you got this circle dome with this flat plane, And it's like, no, what does that word circle mean? In the Hebrew, in the Chaldean, it is a sphere. And it's used of the arc of the vault of the sky. But it's talking about a sphere. So people may say, oh, well, how do you, that's not possible. And it's like, but look at the original language. They're talking about the arc of the sky. You can see the circle of the sky, but then it's going further than that and saying it is a sphere. But look at the other passage in Job. It says, Job 26, he stretches out the north over empty space, and he hangs the earth on nothing. He binds up the water in his thick clouds, yet the clouds are not broken under it. He covers the face of his throne and spreads his clouds over it. He drew a circular horizon on the face of the waters, at the boundary of light and darkness. So here we have two things. So talking about the circular horizon, which we know that, like, just that shows you, lets you know they were paying attention to the earth. And we see this circular horizon, how it appears as if the sun is rising in the east and sets in the west. It's like, it's almost as if it's like they've been watching this, and they see this circular horizon because they see the sun going just like this, and it's like, dude, like, that's just the observation is letting you know that their mind was thinking in a scientific way for their time. But just understanding, did you not hear what he said in the passage? It said that he suspends the earth on nothing. That is literally outer space. The earth is just suspending on nothing and just an empty, like a void, just suspended. Like, how did the writers know that the earth is suspending on nothing? Like, that's checkmate. That's all you need. How did they know that? You're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands. How did they know the earth was suspending on nothing? It said that he stretches out the north over empty space. He hangs the earth on nothing. How did they know that the earth hangs on nothing and is in outer space, just in outer space? I don't know. But think about this also, this other one. What does this sound like? Job 36, 27 to 29. For he draws up drops of water, which distill as rain from the mist, which the clouds drop down and pour abundantly on man. Indeed, can anyone understand the spreading of clouds, the thunder from his canopy? I want y'all to hear this. What does it sound like? He draws up the drops of water, which distill as rain from the mist, which the clouds drop down and pour abundantly on man. What is he describing? The water cycle. He's letting you know that, and it's like multiple passages, how the mist comes up and God is doing this thing all over again. The mist coming up, you got the plants doing what they're going to do, you have the rain dropping down, you have this continuous cycle of things happening. It's like, how did they understand the water cycle? How did they didn't have that, they didn't call it the water cycle, but it's like anybody who say, oh, you can't see the science from the Bible because they didn't understand the terms that they were saying. It's like they didn't need to have the same terms. They understood the water cycle without naming it the water cycle. It doesn't matter. Now, how about this? Because this one is, in actuality, something that scientists actually use. Psalms 8, verse 8. It said, the birds of the air and the fish of the sea that pass through the paths of the seas. I want y'all to get this. So the birds of the air and the fish of the sea who pass through the paths of the sea. It was this passage that the scientist Matthew Maury used to discover underwater currents. The guy who discovered underwater currents used this passage to say, hey, man, we didn't understand and know that there were paths underneath the ocean. So after he read this verse, he then went and checked it out and discovered the underwater currents. So this literally goes against Neil, what he's saying, that nobody has used the Bible to discover any scientific, discoveries. It literally goes against what he's saying. And it's not the only thing. But it's like, I'm telling you, you think that the Bible is not a science book. That's because God is the one dictating everything. And science, when I said, it's only trying to figure out how God did it. So that's why it's not a science book, but it's the source of all science, because you have the source of all things creating everything and letting you know how he did it. So if you start with him, you'll get the same result that this Matthew Maury got by saying, hey, paths underneath the sea, the ocean? Let's look at, oh, there's currents underneath the ocean. It's yeah, science. There's much more science in the Bible. And we can go into it talking about how he stretches out the heavens, where you can correlate that as the red shift, where multiple times God said he stretches out the heaven. He's stretching like a curtain. He's stretching out the heaven. He stretched out the heavens. And so what is his stretching is an expansion, as we know that the universe is expanding and still expanding. And that's what we can see the red shift, because the universe is expanding. But God already said that he stretched out the heaven, and he is kind of like he is stretching out the heavens, because it mentions it as like a continuous stretching, because he said he stretches out the heaven, and he stretched out the heaven in different kind of forms of it. It's insinuating kind of like this is a guy this is what he did, and it's so amazing how we see God still stretching, and it's still going on. And it's like, how did they understand? How did the people of the Bible understand? How did they know that the heavens is being stretched out? They didn't even comprehend this. Obviously, the God of the God is telling them, the God of the Bible, he's telling them, but they're writing it down. It's like, but it's like, if you think about it, it's like we are discovering things that they already have mentioned long ago. Now you just got to get with the program and say, hey, there may be some more stuff that we can glean from this. But if you're full of pride, and a lot of people had, like I said, they've been hurt. They've been hurt, so they don't want to give it a chance. They've been hurt by, it could be a church, it could be other people from the Bible, some people call them Bible thumpers, whoever. And now you just had this crazy mind frame of like, there ain't nothing scientific about the Bible. There ain't nothing good that can come from it, from us, to give us knowledge about anything scientific, when you literally are learning and reading from the one who created it all. And your science is only trying to figure out how he did it. And you never will. You never will figure out everything how he did it. You only figuring out stuff that God's allowing you to. Everything that he's allowing you to figure out, you figuring it out. You'd be like, oh no, that's just us figuring it out. We're smart. Yeah. But you can't figure out consciousness. And you had all this time. You can't figure out how two twins from the same fertilized egg, have two different souls, two different consciousness. You can't figure out where the laws of physics came from. The laws of nature, the laws of physics had to predate the universe, because when the universe came into existence, they would have had to operate by those laws of physics. So that means those laws of physics had to already be in place before the universe was here. So where do the laws come from? You still can't understand where the life come from. You still can't understand where the digital code on the DNA came from. You still can't. Like, oh, we give us time. You had a lot of time to figure out a lot of stuff. But you still, as if like you had ground zero on a lot of these things. It's so the hidden science in the Bible is because the God of the Bible is the source of our fascination of science. Well, this is Jonathan Owens, man. I'll see you next time. Comment, subscribe. Let me know, and we can have a discussion. Man, I'll see y'all next time. Lord's willing. Peace.